The content, views, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and do not necessarily reflect the view and opinions of the City of Bremerton, BCAT, their officials, or their employees.
Hello and welcome to Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight, where both the host and guest are alumni of our local 10-month leadership development course. This program shines a spotlight on just one of the several hundred graduates who have given countless hours of their time and effort to make things happen through leadership. I'm your host, Jennifer Yeaman, class of 2011, and joining me today is Lowell Sweet, class of 2004. Lowell, thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me, Jennifer.
So let's start with getting to know you a little bit better. Can you tell me a little bit about your background and yourself?
Yes, so I'm a husband, a father. I have 3 wonderful daughters, and I have 6 grandchildren, all living in the same area. And I also am recently retired. Like, I'm 5 months into my retirement. So retired from the shipyard, also a retired Navy vet, and just looking to do what God's calling me to do here in Kitsap County. So I'm not sure there's anything more. I'm just a man doing what I can do to make things better here where I'm at.
As a vet, thank you for your service. And as a recent retiree, that's a goal for me to set. So you're a proud Leadership Kitsap graduate from the class of 2004. How did you learn about the program, and what inspired you to apply to Kitsap Leadership?
I have to go into the Wayback Machine to remember what, and I remember back in 2002, 2003, I was looking for leadership programs to improve my leadership styles there at the shipyard. And I saw the one advertising Leadership Kitsap and applied, and was fortunate to get in. And that's where it came from, was an application looking to improve myself. So, and I think that Leadership Kitsap, while it was not what I thought it was going to be, it definitely was more than what I expected. And that was the genesis of that start of that journey.
Oh,
so
perfect. I feel like I have that leadership story too. During your Leadership Kitsap year, what was your personal focus or area of leadership and exploration?
As I got into it, at first I was thinking, learn how to be more of a leader. What I realized was this is more about learning how to lead volunteer organizations. A leader at work, a leader in a matrix designed hierarchy is pretty easy. You get assigned a position, and there are duties and responsibilities, and people have to follow. But being involved with a volunteer organization takes a whole different set of skills. And I was very happy to learn that, and to see how much it takes to do volunteer work and lead in a volunteer organization where, if people don't like what you say, they can walk. They don't, they're volunteers, and you have to keep that in mind as you're working towards achieving goals.
Absolutely. The Leadership Kitsap program has monthly learning themes, and they're known as challenge days. What was your favorite challenge day, and why?
When I went through the program, my favorite challenge day was the one where we learned about city planning. I always wondered why they put buildings where they put buildings, and what went into it. And we actually had a city planner come in, and he talked with us about a lot of different aspects that I had never really thought about. Traffic flow, land use, all the services that have to be provided, looking at how people are going to egress and get into the building. And all of that was part of the decision. And it was interesting because at that time they were building the Norm Dix building. So we actually got a little bit of firsthand knowledge of what they were thinking, why they put it where they did, and it was a very interesting behind-the-scenes look at that. We also, my team had people on it that had been around when they talked about where they wanted to put the ferry terminal, and had been insightful on why they put the ferry terminal where they did, as opposed to down at Gorst at the end of the freeway. So, learning a little more about the decision making and what goes into it leads you to stop saying, well, that's a silly idea, and more into the, wow, look at all the things you have to think about. And that was the one I appreciated and remembered really well.
Oh, what a great experience. And you were able to see like the planning, you were able to see them once it was developed, and you're able to see it now.
Yeah.
What a great experience.
And we've had activities in Leadership Kitsap in that Norm Dix building, and it's really nice. It makes you feel like you're a part of it, because I've been around here long enough to have been through the whole thing.
Mm. Another aspect of the program is the community service project, and it's a standout aspect of the Leadership Kitsap program. Can you share more about what your project entailed and its impact on the community or yourself?
Yeah, so our project was to, we took on it was a YWCA's women's shelter. This was a place, a home where women and children that were leaving a detrimental place, condition, would come and stay for a transition point. And one of our members knew about it, worked with them, and we took on the role of, let's make the backyard a little bit of a safe haven for the children, because at the time it was not really much of a play area. And so we were thinking if we could make that into a more of a child fun zone to help them, because they're coming out of trauma, and we wanted to give them a place of respite. And so we did that. We had to all sign non-disclosure agreements to say we don't tell people where this place is, and we did, and we, through the course of our work, we actually brought in a couple of different high school groups. I'm trying to remember, I think it's the alternative high school, and one was a honor group. So we brought kids together, seniors in the high school, that would not normally interact. You get your honors group, and you get the people that are, they don't like school, but they're going to get through it, and we had them working side by side. And so there was some connections there, and we were able to not only build a place, but we were able to connect in the community with kids that are now future leaders. These kids are they're in their 30s now, the people that were in our group. So it was a meaningful time, and it was an ability to give back in a way that could be sustained.
Oh, that sounds like just a project that was amplified on so many levels. So you were able to support the YWCA. As a leader developing other leaders, you connected people to interact with each other. And then also as an adult leader mentoring high school people, like you really fulfilled the mission of developing other leaders.
Yeah.
It sounds like a wonderful, wonderful project. So not only are you a proud graduate of the Leadership Kitsap program, but you're also a Leadership Kitsap board member. Can you share how the program has changed from your time, like as a participant during that project you just talked about, to your time as a board member?
Yeah, so thinking about the projects, when I was involved, our projects were more about getting something done, putting a completion on it, and letting it grow and live. The projects now seem more about the networking and relationship building with the community partners, and allowing the more of the community to take an active role, not only in the project itself, but in the continuance. I've seen the changes in the projects. A friend of mine after I did Leadership Kitsap, he went through the Leadership Kitsap program. I don't remember what class, but I do know the sailboats and all of the sailing stuff that is there in Silverdale waterfront was part of his project. He wanted, that's a growing project, and even my daughter and my wife took sailing lessons not too long ago from that, so I know that that's still going. The other aspect of that was there is a more concerted effort, a more focused effort on training up, giving the community leaders leadership skills. As what we use positive leadership, the positive leadership curriculum that was developed by Adam Seaman, that was specifically developed for programs like ours, a community leader program. I don't remember there was that overt leadership training in class of 2004. A lot of it you got by just running into brick walls and figuring out how to get past them. And the brick walls are just natural. And it's not that people put barriers up, it's just you learned by trial and error. This is a little bit more focused, and it seems to be building better community leaders because it talks about the leadership skill set and the emotional skill set that a leader needs in order to lead a group. It's not time management, it's not given direction or authority, it's personal journey. And I think that in and of itself has strengthened the program so well. And I've heard a lot of people say the things that come out of that program come out of those 30-minute sessions on Challenge Day are the things that stick with them more so than some of the other presentations. Presentations are great about information about what's going on in the county, and you can then get involved. But they say the personal journey is another aspect that really sticks with people. So yes, I think that, and that's where I pour myself into. Since I joined the team, I joined the board in 20, just after COVID hit. I joined on the board, and we managed to figure our way through, keep a program running through COVID times and the isolation times. We managed to keep a program running and still turn out positive leaders into the community.
And on the thank you for your service aspect, thank you again for continuing that, especially after such a big cultural shift that COVID brought as well to keep programs going. So thank you. Looking at, you talked about the competencies, you talked about the positive leadership curriculum with Leadership Kitsap, you talked about the exploration that people go through as leaders, like their internal exploration, you talked about the community service aspect of it. So Leadership Kitsap strives to engage and prepare future leaders for public service with all those things that you talked about. What advice do you have for those that want to continue to serve? Maybe they have served as volunteers, but they're looking to move into that next step as a board member. What advice would you give to them?
Well, so I'm at an interesting point right now. I'm at a transition point. As I said, I retired the end of July from the shipyard. And I'm still, my wife and I discussed, and I discussed taking on new things, and I had told her that I was going to hold off and listen and wait to give myself time, not to just jump into something new. You all of a sudden are presented with this lots of new time to do things, and I didn't want to jump and then find myself pretty soon filled all up with, and maybe not get where God wants me to go. And so I'll just say, so I've been holding off on that. But I would say that you ask yourself, what is it that really excites you? And then figure out where to go to do what it is that really excites you. I'm a strong proponent of the Strength Finders and the ideas behind that. The strengths are things that you do well, that excite you. You may not do them well. Those are skills you do well. But strengths are things that just really pique your interest and excite you. And find that and find where you can serve that. Because we're always better when we're serving the community. The community improves, and when we give of ourselves, we are better off personally when we do that. If you're in a position where you feel like you have all these desires, but say you're a young father, a young mother, you got kids, don't beat yourself up. Take the time to find that family balance before you jump into something else. It's better to do one or two things well than it is to do a whole bunch of things not so well. And I would just say that just find that balance, find that one thing, and see if, each person is going to be different. The aspects I personally find a sense of accomplishment when I can help somebody improve themselves. Not that I improve them, but I help them find their ways. And if my interactions with them help them, then that brings pleasure to me. And it's encouraging to me, and it jazzes me up for the next time I can do that. And I would just say, find that that spot for you, whatever that sweet spot is for you, find that and pour yourself in there. But remember, you've got family, you've got commitments, and you've got, unlike me, you probably have a 40-hour a week work job that you have to show up for, and be good at your job. Be good at your job first, and then your job will be good to you after, and you'll have the time. I would say that the opportunity to serve on the Leadership Kitsap Executive Board came while I was still working. And part of the reason I was able to serve was because I had done well. I always kept my job, doing the things that were expected of my job. I didn't let the job slack just to go do Leadership Kitsap. For me, you have to do your job.
Oh my gosh, you had so many tidbits of wisdom there. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel like what you've shared with us is also an example of things that we learned in the curriculum. Like you talked about purpose, starting with your purpose. Yeah. And you talked about servant leadership, how we serve others. So thank you so much for sharing all that wisdom. Yeah. You're like a great example of what Leadership Kitsap can bring. So thank you.
Yeah. The other thing that Leadership Kitsap really does for you is it expands your circles beyond where you are. And it brings you into contact with awesome people. You and I have been in contact in multiple locations, both at work and through Leadership Kitsap. And that's something that Leadership Kitsap brings, is the opportunity to connect we just had a challenge day at the beginning of December, and I was able to connect with one of our state representatives, and just to hear his story, I looked at him and said, I want to get together with you later on, because I just think he has an awesome viewpoint, and I want to connect with him. And that's what Leadership Kitsap does for you, is the circles expand and the connections are made. And that's what we're trying to do.
Perfect. Oh, I love it. It gets me so excited. Let's see. As a graduate of the class of 2004, some time has passed since your involvement in the program. Thinking back on just leadership in general, how do you think leadership has changed from 2004 to now?
I don't know that leading people has actually changed. The successful leaders are still doing the same things that they were doing all throughout history, the same successes. I would have to say that I don't know if it's changed as much as it is just been reinforced, that the relationships are really what matters. The leading with remote like emails and texts and the autocratic leader is pretty much the same. I would say leadership is more about the person to person. And the more you treat people in a way that you want to be treated, the better off your leadership is going to be. People will follow you when they know you care about them. They'll follow you when they know that you have been there and you're still there, and that you care for them. And I think that that's the case. I can't say that leadership has changed. The techniques, the skills, all of that, we might see a little nuance change. We might get better at time management, but that's not so much leadership. Leadership is that relationship, and what you have as a relationship to the individual. That's the piece in my mind.
So I'm going to take for that, like how we communicate might have changed. We might have text, we might email, we might call. But the bottom line, the relationship is what's important, and that
Right.
has remained constant.
Yeah, I think back to my dad saying that the communications. I remember phones with cords, and phones that were party lines, and now we have instant text. I can post a text to my daughter who, at one point, my daughter and I were communicating, and she was in Madagascar and I was here, and we were communicating back and forth. The ability to communicate is changed, but the relationship between me and my daughter has not changed. That's still, and for me, leadership is what kind of relationship you have.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Again, you've been a constant in my leadership journey, so thank you so much for your time and expertise throughout all these years, and thank you for your time today as well.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure for me to do this. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight. If you want to become part of a vibrant team working to build a new and continuing source of fine leaders right here in Kitsap County, reach out to us online at leadershipkitsap.org, on Instagram and Facebook. For the Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight, I'm Jennifer Yeaman. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.